The greatest compliment that I can pay to a film is when I say, with both jealousy and awe, I wish I had written that. And that's definitely the case with Weapons, which opens this weekend. Weapons centers itself on a deceptively simple idea. What if a bunch of kids from one classroom walked out of their homes one night and were never seen again? Kreger takes this concept and unfolds it in a very novelistic fashion in how this one event can impact an entire town, its social order, and its specific citizens in specific POV chapters. Each chapter unfolds itself kind of like a Stephen King bestseller, especially during like his 80s peak period, like It and Misery era. But given its focus on suburban decay and institutional rot, it might be better to argue that it's more like a Peter Straub book. And as the viewer advances through the narrative, each scene provides more context to what precedes it, and a greater tapestry presents itself for the viewer. There are many films of this stripe that settle their horrific happenings within small towns. Weapons is one of the few movies that I feel like actually establishes a sense of place and makes effective use of its running time to world build in a way that makes it feel all the richer. Like there's something interesting happening around every corner and even just off screen. That's not to say what's presented primarily is any less worthwhile because of it. On the contrary, it's Kreger's ability to withhold that actually crafts a richer text and allows you to want to live in this world and kind of noodle in its marginalia and even its lore. Structurally, Kreger has spoken at length about the influence of Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia on the writing of Weapons. And it's pretty easy to see the influence and how Magnolia served as a model. It also shares Magnolia's embrace of the biblical, especially right around the edges of the film. All that to say is that it's also, at its core, a very well-made horror movie. Beyond its other influences, there is a core strain of George Romero that runs through it, especially by the third act. And the way it melds that naked sort of political allegory along with this visual language that feels like it's ripped right out of a Raymond Carver paperback, it makes for one of the strongest horror films we've seen in years, and certainly, I would argue, the year's best horror effort, and maybe one of the year's best films altogether. It's got a lot of competition in that regard, especially in terms of horror, so it's saying a lot. But hey, you be the judge. Go see Weapons this weekend.